Hello, YouTube! Welcome in, welcome in. We are going to start the long and arduous journey of learning about every single Warhammer 40k faction. This is the re-explained video. I've heard a lot of back and forth suggestions on this one, and I think I'm just going to land on this one where he re-explained everything, came back, and dove back into all this. This is a very long video. The next one is also extremely long, so we're going to be breaking this up into a couple videos. We'll do the first half this episode. The next episode, we'll do the second half, and then we'll visit the like half of the second one and half of the other half of the second one later. Anyway, we'll do that. If we can somehow get through all this a little faster, maybe we will. Ooh, I could always speed it up. Could do that. Nah, I want to listen to it properly. Anyway, let's watch the video.
In the kind brightness of the far past,
The kind brightness in the far past. Is this the only time when bad things were not happening at all times in the 40k universe?
was no war. Our galaxy was, for a long time, fairly empty and quiet. The first known species to appear during this time are known only as the Old Ones, cosmic entities that traveled across the galaxy with ease and seeded life through the stars. Shortly thereafter, a new species began to arise, the Necron tier, evolving under the harshness of a devastatingly powerful star.
So, oh, this is the intro. This is just the intro chunk that he's talking about. Okay, so he's going to give us a little explanation, okay, before we jump in. And then we'll start with the Necrons, I guess. Hello!
The short-lived and irradiated Necron tier try to find the secret to eternal life and to be freed from their terrible existence. As they expand through the stars, they find the Old Ones and they plead to them to share the secrets of the universe and grant them purchase from their short and painful existence. The Old Ones respond with a
lol, no.
lol and a lamau, and with their
Okay, that's good. With a lol and a lamau. Lamau, get good, scrub.
immense power, they force them back to their homeworld. The Necron tier, filled with rage and hatred, make it their duty to get revenge on the Old Ones. A revenge that would come swiftly as a chance encounter with other gods gave them a solution. These other gods were known as the Catan, a race of highly powerful star-consuming entities.
Yeah.
Do not fear, young mortals, for we, the Catan, will provide you with the immortality you seek. Come now, won't you shake a poor sinner's hand? Quoted from...
Never make a deal with somebody who talks like this. It's going to end badly. Also, I'm going to do this. Yeah, there we go.
Mephetron, the Deceiver. The Necron tier accepted the Catan's offer of immortality, but believe it or not, this turned out to be a ruse. A trick. The Catan crafted gigantic furnaces and began the process of biotransference. The Necron tier willingly walked line by line into the furnace engines made by gods who devour stars and had their souls consumed instead. The short-lived, irradiated, and cancer-inflicted race of the Necron tier ceased to be, and the immortal, soulless Necrons remained, now backed by the immense power of the Catan.
So, okay, they made a deal. With... Man, my brain is so fried. There's so much information that it's hard to remember, like, specific names of all these guys. Like, oh, right, the Qatar. So the Qatar came to the Necron tier after the Necron tier got gypped by the Old Ones, right? Then they said, "Hey, we heard you guys want a little bit of peace and health from having to deal with all this cancer in your systems, right? And your extremely short, like 20, 30-year lives, right? Thank you for the hydrate." So, like, we'll give you that help, right? Right? You just have to shake our hands, do a deal. And they're like, okay, yeah, we'll do the deal. Okay, cool. Jump into this machine here. What's it do? It's going to get rid of the cancer in your system. It's literally going to burn it away. Oh, okay. So they jump in. Well, it turns out it burns away not just cancer, but all their skin and everything, and then traps their souls into a robot. Sounds shitty.
Their souls consumed instead.
Oh, their souls didn't even... Wait, their souls?
Gods who...
Oh, right.
Immense power of the Catan, the Necrons rally against the Old Ones, and the bitter conflict in the stars at this time is known as the War in Heaven. Despite creating various races and entities to aid them in this battle, the Old Ones are overwhelmed and eradicated down to the last, due to the sheer power of the Catan fat off the souls of the Necron tier, and with an army of unthinkable robotic slaves at their behest.
Okay, so they did eat the Catan souls. Oh, so wait, so not the Catan souls, the the Necron souls. Okay.
However, the Catan are greedy, spiteful gods, and when there
anything with power is a greedy bastard.
There was no foe worth killing, they turn on each other. The Necrons then put their sights towards the Catan and lay waste to them, securing their freedom. The once subservient Necrons now control their former masters. Worn out and weakened by these wars, the Necrons under their leader Zarek, the Silent King, lie dormant, with a plan to eventually...
He looks like a Hasbro toy. The art is beautiful, by the way. Once again, absolutely love the art in this series. Like, look at that. You can easily see the change in like textures and everything like that. You can see just the effort that went into this beautiful friggin' piece, and it's so sci-fi. It is perfectly sci-fi without, trying to ground it a little bit in some form of realism. No, they're just like, no, let shit just be weird for no fucking reason. Because that's sci-fi, baby.
Wake and reclaim control over the galaxy. Over millions of years, empires rise and they fall. The species created by the Old Ones have footholds over the galaxy, but on a pale blue dot in the thick of all this conflict,
a little marble of life.
Humanity begins to evolve. And for the most part, the basic path of humanity's evolution remains the same as it is now for almost 15,000 years. Right now, in the 21st century, this is canon. You, right now, Twitch streamer reacting to this video.
We see you. Wait, what?
You existed at a point in the Warhammer universe.
We see you, we notice you, we see you. Twitch streamer reacting to this video. Hi, Bricky, how's it going, buddy? Big fan.
But with time, humanity's ambition and the power of their technology becomes unmatched, and the golden age of expansion begins. Humanity starts to branch out through the stars with powerful tools used for agriculture, mining, and expansion. Some branches of humanity would eventually settle far away from Earth itself, and around this time, the psychic ability of humans are greatly expanded, and what we begin to know as psychers appear. But despite all the progress, things would begin to collapse. The machines created to aid humanity would turn on them in M23, an event known as the Cybernetic Revolt, and trade.
Isn't this a scene from Matrix? Am I incorrect? Or is this from an actual like Warhammer piece of media?
Would begin to collapse due to the immaterial warp,
Yep, nope, that's from one of the Matrix movies.
aka actual hell, beginning to cause ruptures in space and time.
I like how it's Cleveland. It's Cleveland. He said literal actual hell and showed Cleveland. That's
These warp stones would separate humanity, and this would be what is known as the Age of Strife. The warp, a sea of souls, storing all thought, emotion, and the souls of those who have passed on, begin fluctuating into something terrible, as far on the horizon, something horrendous was brewing. You see, the warp isn't just a random assortment of chaotic energy. It is fairly well organized, thanks to those living in the galaxy. The warp itself acts as an afterlife of sorts, and the actions of the innumerable amount of creatures who live in the galaxy have manifested a pantheon of organized entities known as the Forces of Chaos. At their helm are three major entities.
Only three currently. There is the fourth, but they haven't been born yet, / haven't come to full power yet. Mostly born yet.
Khorne, Nurgle, and Tzeentch. However, a fourth one, Slaanesh, was about to be born. The ancient Eldar were one of the first.
Holy Technicolor. I did not realize how wild the Eldar look. Oh my goodness. This looks like a bunch of Kiss cosplayers got into a fight with a crayon box. What the hell?
First species created by the old ones, and due to their extreme and unbridled excess, the birthing of Slaanesh tore a hole in the galaxy and forever split the Eldar into those of the craft world, who sought to bring their species back together, and those of the Drukhari, who wished to continue what caused the birth of Slaanesh in the first place. The birthing of this fourth chaos god settled the warp storms of the Immaterium.
Give me one moment, everybody. Hi, sorry about that. Now we're back to it.
And ended the age of strife, but humanity was still fractured. So one man revealed himself and spearheaded an immense attempt to reunite all the fractured pieces of humanity. That man was the Emperor.
That man, wait a second.
Of mankind.
Hold on a second. Hold up. Wait a minute. What is it? What is it? Where is it? Come here. Guys. I can't unsee it. I can't unsee this.
After reclaiming the nearly destroyed Earth, the Emperor embarked on the unification wars to unite humanity under the banner of the Imperium of Man. However, due to the very long and devastating impact of the Age of Strife, humanity as we know it is not the same. To reconquer Earth, the Emperor would need more than mere men. Great beings, known as the Thunder Warriors, were recruited by the Emperor to reclaim the Earth with ease. But these warriors are a blunt tool.
So this introduction, which honestly, all by itself, is a huge chunk of the video, is kind of like a rehash of what we learned in his previous video. Kind of like an abridged version, just made old
and had overstayed their welcome. He would need something better, and that solution,
which I learned that the Thunder Warriors mostly were a problem because they were a rush order, so they were defective specifically in a very problematic way.
Would be known as the Space Marines. Superhuman soldiers that will have the skill and cunning exponentially greater than the mortal man. These new warriors would be commanded by an elite group of his very own sons known as the Primarchs. Unfortunately though, Daddy didn't charge the baby monitor, and his 18 sons
because two of them went missing.
Would be stolen by the forces of chaos and scattered across the galaxy. This would begin the Great Crusade, a monumental task to take back the stars in the name of humanity and reclaim the lost Primarch sons. However, he would need the fires of industry to make this happen. Looking to the distant cousins of Mars, the Emperor signed a treaty with the technologically irradiated hellscape of the Red Planet and allowed the cult of the machine god, the Mechanicum, to supply his crusade. While Space Marines were the tip of the spear, their numbers pay.
Because if I remember correctly, I think in this universe, right, like one of the guiding credos that the Emperor of Mankind gave is no gods. You're not allowed to have religion or worship or anything like that because we need to be focused on humanity, not like something else out there, and also those things out there, they just want to beat the shit out of us anyway. So why do we want to revere them? But the Mechanicus guys, they kind of keep all their technology going, so they're using them in order to do the thing that they need, and just kind of letting them do that. I'm sure that once the idea is once humanity wins the war and they're in control, you did make one exception, correct? I'm pretty sure once they are like fully in control of the warp and the universe and all that stuff, the idea is, okay, now we get rid of the Mechanicus people. We don't need them anymore. Until then, they're a means to an end.
To the vast might of the Imperial Army and Navy, the Astra Militarum, and their seemingly endless numbers make up the bulk of the fighting force for humanity, supplied by the intelligence and prowess of various agents of the Imperium, such as rogue traders and assassins. Due to the lack of connectivity between the worlds, what a society had become over thousands of years became mysterious and varied. Tools once used for harvesting and agriculture now are being used as machines of war in the form of Imperial Knights. Some of these fractures of humanity would even be changed further and become unrecognizable to the average human, with differences in...
Yeah, these guys don't really look like they'd be humans anymore. They're looking very wild. Granted, they're probably just wearing armor, but maybe they're not.
Size, skin color, appendages, cat ears sometimes. Some would go so far to become their own galactic societies, like the miners of the Galactic Core and their immense supercomputers, forming the Leagues of Votan. After an incredible amount of effort and books, the lost sons of the Emperor would be reunited, and the Imperium of Man would be firmly established. This, however, would not last. Be it intentional or accidental, the Emperor would not reveal to his sons the true nature of the galaxy and the terrors of the warp. And this oversight would result in one of the most impactful wars in humanity's history. The favorite son of the Emperor, Horus, would fall to the powers of chaos.
The Horus Heresy. Also, Horus looks like an absolute beast. Look at that guy. Much better look for him than the look he gets from the Horus Heresy.
Powers of chaos and turn on his father. This betrayal, this backstabbing, this...
Once again, art is so fucking beautiful. Oh my god. Look at this thing. In a Mechanicum, the amount of augmentation typically varies, but the older you are, the more augmented you typically the more augmentation you typically have. With really exception, you're not allowed to fully replace the brain. Oh, interesting. Okay, makes sense.
Heresy. This Horus Heresy would result in a split in the Imperium with devastating consequences. Half of the Emperor's loyal sons would fall to chaos and become the Chaos Space Marines, along with the forces of the Dark,
which are Space Marines, with more gore.
Mechanicum and the Chaos Knights. The conflict would result in the absolute obliteration of Horus and the physical death of the Emperor himself. The near-dead body of the Emperor would be placed on the Golden Throne. Mainly
because daddy issues, yeah. He didn't like, Horus didn't like the fact that the Emperor was holding information back. Which, fair. But information is extremely powerful and dangerous. I guess he was trying to hold things away from his kids to, protect them or protect humanity or something. I'm not 100% sure. He probably could have let one or two of them in. I don't know.
To serve as a beacon of humanity and allow for the continued ability to travel the stars, protected by his most loyal, the Adeptus Custodes. The Imperium would be vulnerable during this age of rebirth, and Terra would find itself under siege by one of the most formidable species in the galaxy, the Orcs. As time went on and
the best boys, you mean?
Memories of the Emperor's vision began to fade. The Emperor would become less of a head of state and more of a religious figure, and the Imperium would change to reflect this. The leadership on a planet would be at the behest of the High Lords of Terra, and their actions would be courtesy of the incomparable power and authority of the Inquisition. The zealots of the Imperium would intensify and create a brand...
What is this? They cooked with the art. I'm going to glaze the art almost every single chance I get. My God. Look at that. Good Lord, it looks so beautiful.
New era known as the Age of Apostasy. And this ecclesiarchal command of the Imperium would end up with one of the strongest fighting forces of Terra, the Adeptus Sororitas. Over time, this age would come to pass, and we would approach the 40th millennium of Warhammer 40,000.
Yay! We still got a little bit more to go of the intro.
Which, you guessed it, would come with its own form of problems. A primitive species, once found during a recon mission, would be able to evolve in relative secrecy for 6,000 years, becoming a highly advanced coalition of aliens known as the Tau Empire. And
the Tau is, from what I've heard of the Tau every single time they've been brought up for me, people like the Tau, but also hate the Tau because they're a pain in the ass to fight against. And I don't know, there's apparently just a bunch of like weird drama with the Tau or something. I'm not too sure. Honestly, a funny thing in the Inquisition is that a faction in it thinks that the Imperial needs more war than it already does, so intentionally starts more. I'm not surprised. Oh, hold on one second, everybody. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Wait talking to me. Anyway, hopefully we'll learn a little bit more about the Tau. I don't get a lot of information on them.
if the threats of the galaxy weren't bad enough, there are threats from outside the galaxy. As a monster has begun to wrap its tendrils around the Milky Way, the Tyranids, monsters that serve a psychic hive mind and present tactics previously unseen in the Milky Way. Be it a direct assault with their monstrous bug-like presence or through the more covert gene stealer cults, the presence...
Okay, what is going on with this? So, this Tyranid apparently has mimicked, like, I'm assuming they've mimicked like a one of the Warhammer guys, one of the Blueberry Ben, has a Gatling gun, but it's all organic, and it looks like he's actually feeding it through a vein. What is going on? Oh my! Oh, and the swords he's using are actually connected to his arms as well. What? Like, interesting.
Yet another threat in the galaxy is proving to be overwhelming to the
organic technology or something.
Period.
I don't know.
In the 41st millennium, there is no peace among the stars. At any point, your life can and will be threatened by the Xenos races uncountable, or by the arch enemy of chaos within, or by the decroded terror that is the Imperium itself. It is to live in the cruelest and most bloody regime imaginable. Forget the power of technology and science, or the safety of promise and understanding. For in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war.
Yep. And that's the whole point of this entire thing, is just, there is no happiness, there is no wonderful, there is no light at the end of the tunnel, there is just war. And war never changes. Again, part 1.
A fantastic job once again, Mr. Kurz, the Night Haunter himself. Oh, didn't you love that, my faithful audience? Once again, we have another criminal over the course of 6 hours break every single bone in his body. And with that, once again, our glory.
Oh no. Oh no, oh no.
Glorious leader has brought the crime rate to 0%. Always brought to you here on Nostroman News. I'm your host, Bricky. Thank you once again for joining us. Our top stories for tonight. The weather forecast appears to be rainy with extra dark, so make sure you pack those extra batteries for your lamp packs. And of course, let's not forget the fantastic gang violence problem we're currently having.
I thought you said that the crime rate was 0.
I'm sorry, what's that? Oh, right, it's gone.
Ah, right.
It's looking to be a chilly one tonight as well, so make sure your skin capes are nice and tight.
Did you say skin capes?
Going to be a chilly one tonight as well, so make sure your skin capes are nice and tight.
What's a skin cape? Why am I scared of that word?
Wait, hold on, one moment.
This just in. Crime has gone up.
Adamantium reserves have tripled? Wait, I'm sorry. Self-harm rates have gone down to
Harm no more. We care a lot. Love yourself.
0%. The Night Haunter smiled?
Occurs on you. Eyewitness says it's haunting.
No. This could only mean one thing. It is the Strawman News' great privilege to bring some color back in your life with the brand new 3-part Gamer Subs.
Oh my god, this was a Gamer Subs ad.
Drop exclusively on this here news network. That's right, your esteemed host Bricky, myself, is dropping a 3-part.
It's this was an hour. This was a year ago, guys. This was a year ago. So that, this promo isn't happening anymore, I'm pretty sure.
Gamer Subs release for pre-order available now and only for a couple of weeks. Not only does it include a completely brand new artwork reskin of the Sweet 6-pack flavor, one of the highest selling flavors in the entirety of Gamer Subs, but it also comes with the first ever all over print Gamer Subs 32-ounce jug. And if that isn't enough for you, if the phenomenal drink and drink holder is not enough for you, we have a desk mat to go along with it. That's right, the Herculean look of the brand new Sweet 6-pack style is here. We're still looking at muscles beyond belief, but this time we're talking taste, we're talking Atlas, we're talking smooth. And if that wasn't enough...
Wait. If you're wanting a 6-pack, I thought you wouldn't want smooth. I don't know. I'm hearing contradictions.
Should you pre-order all 3 of these items, we'll personally hand sign a note for you, thanking you for supporting this network. All of this you can receive for 10% off if you go down in the description of this video and click the link, or go to gamersubs.com/Bricky and use code Bricky. Save 10% off with code Bricky. Bring some color back into your life and increase production across the board for our glorious leader, the Night Haunter. Thank you, Gamer Subs, for sponsoring the Strawman News, and let us move on to our next scheduled program. 5 years ago, I made every Warhammer 40k faction explained. A passion project of mine for a universe that I enjoyed so much. Its main purpose was to be a drawbridge, the separation between the layman who had only ever seen the big armored blue man situated neatly.
Hi, that's me.
Next to a Wetzel's Pretzels, and then the hardcore Warhammer lore nerd. That was just too wide, and there was nothing bridging these two together. Since 2020, Warhammer has exploded in popularity thanks to COVID, quality game updates, and a few excellent videos.
COVID did a lot of work for a lot of things, but also messed up a lot of people's perspective of the world, I think.
Video games and a couple miniseries. The sheer volume of people who have told me they have purchased miniatures due to that video alone.
I'm going to be perfectly honest, don't think I'm going to be purchasing miniatures anytime soon. I can't afford that.
Makes me feel as if Games Workshop owes me commission. However, that video is incomplete. I was not a casual fan, but I was also not a hardcore lore junkie. In the 5 years since that video's release, multiple channels have sprouted up, and the drawbridge between casual to the obsessed has never been wider or easier to traverse. Even I, myself, have been a part of Adeptus Ridiculous, a podcast teaching lore in a much simpler and condensed form. Needless to say, I've learned a lot. Warhammer is so much...
Also, the video he's showing in the background is a fantastic video. We might watch that later, just because it's absolute chaos in the best of possible ways. In the grim darkness of the far future, there's only war and empty wallets.
more than just spaceman shoots big gun. It has also grown substantially from its origin.
I mean, isn't that all we need though? Just big spaceman shoot bigger gun, another big person with their own big gun, so they don't shoot you with their big gun.
Origins being a Warhammer fantasy spin-off just in space. Now it is a black library filled with immensely deep characters, difficult themes, and even some tear-jerking stories. It is a backdrop for a million stories over a million worlds, and I did not see its true depth in 2020. But now, I'd like to share what I've learned. We just had a brief summary of the world and each faction that takes place during it. And we did that because to truly understand each faction, we must understand what makes them the way they are. And to do so, we need to begin in chronological.
Dr. Doom? Dr. Doom, you lay off the steroids, my god.
Order, discussing their origins, their culture, their powers, and of course, what makes them oh so grimdark. So let's begin with the group that started it all and sing praise to the Infinite Empire.
The Necrons.
As mentioned before, the Necron tier were the original form of the Necrons, an alien race far away from us that lived short, painful lives due to the irradiation of their star. Normally, this would manifest as like a sort of cancer, a space cancer of sorts. The Necrons are very much inspired by the ancient Egyptian aesthetic, but unlike the windswept dunes commonly associated with it, the irradiated hellscape the Necron tier endured was far from picturesque. This also
I mean, picturesque, just in the opposite way, and definitely can see the Egyptian inspiration, like with the in pretty much every single Egyptian piece of media you ever see, you see them with the long like chin ornament, like long chins. We got the like the flowing like robes and all that. It just looks Egyptian. It's hard to explain without, you know, just pulling up a picture of Egyptian in media. Like, this just looks Egyptian.
translates into their hierarchy. They are a race of nobles and peasants. Most of the peasants would often live for their very short amount of time, only a couple of decades, while the nobles tended to have better care and would live a little bit longer. But
1 to 2 decades for the peasants, 3 to 4 decades for the nobles.
Still far less than the average lifespan of a human, even today in the 21st century. The leader of the Necrons was Zarek, the Silent King. He was the one who took the deal with the Catan and the Deceiver. Of course, he wasn't aware of the fact that they were known as the Deceiver at the time, but the whole species was
Usually if you're a Deceiver, you tend to omit that part.
blinded by hate after being debased by the old ones on their quest to cure their illness. The sheer pain that underwent the Necron race can't be understated, as their fear was manic. The Catan are, of course, gods that eat stars, and when the leader of your species tells you to march into the gigantic green furnaces to ascend to immortality, you march. The scenes from
Sometimes, yes. Yeah, no, that's fair, I suppose. Like, yeah, the short lifespans makes you wonder what they started reproducing. Life finds a way. Yeah, like, you're sick. What's the worst that can happen? You're sick, you're dying anyway, you're in pain constantly. These weird green fires are apparently going to cure me. I got nothing else but except for just hope, and my literal boss is saying, fucking do it, dude. Do it. What's you got to lose?
These are long lines of both the peasantry and nobles clutching their loved ones in a frantic act to save their own lives. Many of them already inflicted in the late stages of the space cancer, some of them crawling into the biotransference furnaces, trying to outrace death itself, without realizing death was the one who made these to begin with. What came out the other side was a soulless, husk. And I say that literally. A soul is not an abstract concept like it is in our world, an immaterial version of oneself discussed and debated in religion and philosophy. No, in Warhammer, a soul is a real, tangible item of oneself. And the Catan basically were just like...
Oh yeah, they're a godlike entity in these things. And like, in these types of pieces of media, souls, if they are a tangible thing, like he's saying, they're currency. It's the same in D&D, it's the same in this world, it's the same in tons of different pieces of media. I can't name any off the top of my head, but literally anything that has a soul, tell me one that doesn't have like some form of currency. Full Metal Alchemist. From what I know, a soul is basically just a clump of warp matter. Yeah, and that's probably what the warp is just straight up made out of. So, like... And because of that, big, powerful entities probably just live off that shit. So that's probably the main reason why they're doing this. That's kind of like the devil's bargain sort of idea, right?
Every single person who went in their furnaces. If you were a peasant, you came out a Necron warrior, and you as an individual have ceased to be. You have no mind, you have no soul, and your body, as you know it, is made of an extremely advanced mass of re-knitting living metal known as necrodermis. You cannot think for yourself, for you do not have a brain to think with. All you do now is await protocols from your over.
So if you were a peasant, you were erased. You were just straight up erased. That's... oof.
Lords, which are the nobles who came out of the furnaces with their minds intact. Not their souls, mind you, but their minds are very much intact. These nobles now have command protocols, and they are able to command all of their peasantry and do with them whatever they wish. Zarek, the Silent King,
so... Oh, poor Star. So, the peasants, they lost their brains, they lost their souls, they were stripped. And then they were just used in order to create these necrodermises in order to just basically be soldiers, warriors. Whereas the nobles were allowed to keep their minds, but their souls were still stripped. And their bodies converted to this.
Is the most advanced of all the Necrons, a perfect metallic version of himself with incredible power and intelligence. His strength allowed him to lead the undead and the unthinking armies of the Necrons to battle against the Catan when they were at their weakest due to their incessant infighting, and then win back their freedom. But gods cannot die. So in reality, what occurred is the Catan were shattered into thousands of pieces, and each shard of their god was trapped in a stasis.
To be fair, none of them knew the cost beforehand. Absolutely not. No. Like, how would they? Why would they? That's the whole point of this entire thing. The Qatar were trying to, feed themselves and take over. Defeat the old ones, and they needed an army. So let's make an army out of a bunch of people who are so far down on their luck that they're willing to make any kind of deal or any kind of bargain that they possibly can in order to make it work. I do feel sorry for them. Like, I don't know why. When I said that I felt sorry for them in the last one, when I said I felt sorry for the Necron in the last episode, I had a lot of people saying that the Necrons weren't that much better themselves. I still haven't seen any proof or explanation on why. So I'm just kind of curious what terrible thing these guys did before they got, turned into these things. Granted, that's in the past, and a lot of these guys are gone. They're all gone. They're just straight up gone.
this vault and mind controlled to do the bidding of the Necrons they once enslaved. The biggest challenge they face now are actually the upstarts of the galaxy. The Eldar and the Orcs were quite prominent, and as you can imagine, a galactic war really takes its toll on the joints, or I guess the servos.
And they haven't gotten WD-40 from humans yet.
Was in their best interest to wait out the galactic rise of the other races and come back at a more opportune time. So they went into stasis via these massive tomb complexes hidden beneath various worlds, biding their time until it was once again their opportunity to rule the galaxy. Zarek, the Silent King, as penance for his failure to his people, exiled himself into the darkness between stars for the next 60 million years with his perfect memory, a constant reminder of the doom.
Oh, that's right. He's immortal now with a perfect memory. So you know when you lay down at night and then you just get a random memory of that time you did a goofy thing when you were a kid and embarrassed yourself real bad? You know the memory, right? Imagine that over hundreds of thousands of years, those memories, and they're all always available. They're always there. They're always biting at the back of your brain. Oh god, that sounds awful.
He inflicted upon his people. Flash forward to the modern day and the Necrons are reawakening, but it isn't working as well as it could be. Whether the tomb world is reawakened naturally or by some imperial moron stepping on a green glowing rock, the Necrons have come back to reclaim a galaxy they consider rightly theirs. But 60 million years of hypersleep have taken their toll. Many Necron dynasties awake with systems unrestored and huge swaths of their population's minds completely lost. Necron nobles wake with various mental faculties compromised, sometimes exhibiting traits similar to excessive paranoia, schizophrenia, or even dementia. One notable Necron, Nemesis Zandrek, believes that he is still back on his home planet fighting off separatists and interlopers.
Oh wow, so now they're coming out of their like tomb worlds there, and they're kind of, their brains are broken. Oh my goodness, these guys are just getting like the worst RNG ever. Let's just say the Necrons are unbelievably egotistical, and because of their short lifespans can be quite bitter before the transference. I see. So they were dealt a shit hand, so they were shit people. They got dealt an even shittier hand and became broken shit people. Gotcha.
Oberyn, the separatists come, attempting to outflank me as they did at the 4th Battle of Vindach. How they calculate that daubing themselves green and roaring like savages will produce a different outcome, I cannot fathom. But it is of no account. Ready, my legions. Another glorious victory shall soon be ours.
Oh, bro's fighting... fighting the friggin' orcs, and he thinks that he's fighting something else. The separatists, he's trying to fight the separatists. Wow, these separatists are quite ridiculous. Why are they saying wah? And yelling Taka all the time? This isn't like them. This is weird.
Other individuals, such as the esteemed Imhotep the Stormlord, seek to usurp the newly returned Silent King for rightful ruler over the Necron race, believing his time has come to an end, while scientists and archaeologists like Trazen the Infinite and Orikin the Diviner spend thousands of years bickering over artifacts and petty squabbles. Truly, the Necrons are a faction of unthinkable, unimaginable power, held back entirely by their own hubris and 60 million years of stasis. It is a species that does not know of time, only of the ravages brought by it. A pharaoh of a dynasty may just be as frightened to awake completely mad as they are to be assassinated while they sleep.
So this is a race of people who lived in a fraction of a blip of time for a long period of time, and then were granted eternity, basically. They had such incredibly short lifespans that literally every second mattered for them, and then they were given a life that the only thing that nothing matters. They have all the time in the world to do whatever the hell they wanted all the time. So, yeah, that is quite the whiplash. And a lot of these guys then went into the Tomb Worlds and broke their brains with dementia and all this other crazy shit that's making them just not in their proper faculties. They think they live in a bygone age. They think that they're in a different place. They think other things is happening. They're getting into petty squabbles. Literally old grandparents in an old folks home fighting over a game of Scrabble or bingo. And these guys have vast power beyond anything's imagination. Okay, that's kind of terrifying.
Thousands of years pass in an instant. There is a play, like an opera play, a retelling of the war in heaven in the Necron culture that takes 40 years to witness. Because why leave? You have no need to eat or vacate your bowels. You are immortal, but you are soulless. Despite the Necrons' incredible technology, their mastery over time, reality itself, despite all of this, they still are missing a soul. And therein lies the biggest struggle. Most Necrons look to conquest the galaxy, kill the interlopers like the humans, Eldar, and orcs that scrape at a fraction of their power. But the end goal for many, including Zarek himself, is to return the souls to their bodies, to undo the horrible fate he cast upon them. This is not the interest of all. Many simply wish to rule their dynasty with an iron fist and kill all they consider unworthy. But
well, yeah, it makes sense because like they don't remember a time before having a soul, right? They don't know any different. Once again, because their brains are broken. Silent King, he exiled himself. He remembers everything. He remembers the time beforehand. He remembers pushing all of his people into this and dooming them to this eternal life of essentially torture that these poor bastards don't even know that they're being tortured with.
Many others is to undo the decision that doomed them all. Before they can do that, there is a pest that needs exterminating. That is the fundamental understanding of the Necrons. They are so hyper advanced that their science borders on magic. They play with the fundamental aspects of reality and time. Their mastery of the physical galaxy is the strongest in the universe. Their weapons reduce people to the barest molecules, and they have devices capable of causing stars to supernova. They are unfathomably difficult to kill, as if you do fell one of their number, the living metal reknits itself and the reanimation protocols allow it to come back alive once again.
Oh my god.
They're masters of teleportation, and often killing a Necron fully will just have its consciousness translocated back to their tomb world to await reassembly. Normally they utilize large phalanxes of warriors and honorary combats, but some of them have fallen to various mind viruses. The destroyer cults are hell-bent on killing anything and everyone that lives with an overwhelming...
Imagine taking some time out of your day, coming across this. Waking up one day, right? Imagine waking up one day and deciding, you know what would be really cool? Let's replace my hands with little pinchy things and put giant slabs of sharp, rune-etched metal onto my forearms and become a killing machine. It's either that or this is literally his Sunday best, and they can just kind of like pop their heads out and put them on another body. I remember learning of the perspective of the Silent King from just after biotransference, and him describing it as looking at the world behind glass eyes, like feeling like something was missing. Oh, interesting. So what does the soul even like do for your body in this world, right? What does it do? Because it's not seeming to like interfere with their progress. It's not seeming to interfere with their like memories or goals or personality. And it doesn't seem to really like hinder their ability to, you know, use the warp, it seems, or psychic abilities. So what is the soul there for?
force. And then there's the flayed ones, Necrons cursed with I have no mouth and I must scream, a panic attack virus, as the last laugh of Landogo, the Flayer Catan. Slowly losing their minds, they strip apart their foes and adorn their bodies with the skin of their enemies, trying to better return to their old feelings of flesh and blood. The Necrons are a
very rude.
A degraded version of their mighty empire, and still one of the biggest threats in the galaxy. The only thing keeping them at bay currently is their awakening sickness and their infighting with no care to the timeline. But they are coming. And slowly, they plan to rid this galaxy of the vermin that inhabit it. My people shackled the stars and broke mortality when the species you sprang from had barely left the slime pools it spawned in. Our wars burned reality, and the dominion of our kings is without limit. The ground you tread on is not yours, it is ours.
Damn.
The war in heaven was a catastrophic.
Although we will take some of this WD-40 you guys made. That shit's great.
Time for the galaxy, and as stated in the above quote, burned reality. Of course, souls exist in Warhammer, and in the case of the Necron tier, they were consumed by the star gods.
If you don't have a soul, you don't have connection to the warp. I thought these guys would potentially have connection to the warp. Like, they can teleport and do all that crazy stuff. They have basically magic with their technology. Would that not have any kind of attachment to the warp?
This begs the question, however, if you were to pass on, expire, as one might put it, where would your soul go? The answer to this is the warp. In Warhammer, a soul is real. And so is hell, the afterlife, the Empyrean, the Sea of Souls, the Immaterium. All of these names refer to the dimension parallel to our own, known as the warp. Now, the warp is not like our reality. It does not follow the classic normalcy of time and space. It is defined as the Sea of Souls, and it acts like this in a more literal way than you can realize. To imagine the warp is to imagine the sea itself. Hell is real, and you can surf on it. It has a current and can become more dangerous depending on where you go and how bad the weather is. As the Immaterium is a reflection of our reality and of our souls, all thoughts, all emotions, all feeling that goes with a soul is passed on into the warp. If an entire planet decides it's going to engage in a blood-fueled rampage of murder.
Okay, so I guess the best way to look at okay, I'm going to translate this a little bit into kind of a D&D term, or in more terms that resonate with me because I know a little bit more about the media. So he used this example in the previous video. The warp is basically the Nether, right? But in like D&D terms, it would be the equivalent of like, not exactly the Hells or like any of the other planes specifically, but very much more like, what's it called? The Shadowfell and the Feywild. In the fact that it mirrors our dimension at the exact same time. It lives basically like on top, but also beneath and all that. And it's got a very thin membrane separating our reality from the warp reality sort of idea, right? That ain't related with the warp. It's just very advanced technology. It allows the practically do the equivalent of magic. Oh, wow. So their technology's just so advanced that they don't even need the warp. Huh. Wild.
And gore, then the warp around that planet will be affected in a similar manner. It's not something that you can see. It is a parallel, not perpendicular dimension, but it is changing. To expose oneself to the warp for any period of time invites certain death outside of the most iron-willed of individuals, and to stare into it will drive one mad. Much like the open seas, things dwell.
Ah, joke's on you, I'm blind.
In the warp. Whether these beings were always there and were just emboldened by the carnage of the galaxy, we can only speculate at. At a time, you could say it was more calm, but a certain faction's galactic war in heaven didn't do it any favors. Now the warp is turbulent, and its realms belong to a pantheon of gods known simply as the forces of chaos.
All right. We are into the next chapter, Chaos.
Are beings that serve directly under their patron deity. There are 4 current gods of chaos at the moment: Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, and Slaanesh.
Okay.
Each of them represent various facets of and
Blood for the Blood God, Paranoia, Papa Nurgle Loves You, and Reddit.
emotions of sentient species and play a great game against one another for total control over their realms. Interestingly enough, while their disciples have physical forms we can understand, the Chaos Gods do not have a physical visual that you can perceive in reality. So while there are tons of fantastic fan art, we do not know what they truly look like. Though they are...
Well, they're gods, right? They're immaterial. They're a concept with kind of like they're a concept that people will latch an image onto, but that's more of just their avatar. They themselves are they are the warp in a lot of ways. I'm going to assume. I think I've heard a few ideas that after the Horus Heresy and the Emperor, basically dying himself and being put onto the chair, there's a lot of people assuming that the Emperor of mankind became the 5th god. Sort of idea. Hard to say, though.
Are conveniently color-coded. Khorne is the god of blood and murder, carnage and slaughter. He is the one who is most powered by the wholesale killing of any living thing. For Khorne cares not
The Angie boy.
from where the blood flows. With a sacred number of 8, he is the lord of all things involving killing and blood and gore. The champions are extremely strong as well, with monumental muscles and extremely large weapons. A true analog to Khorne would be his greater demon, the Bloodthirster, an enormous muscle-bound flying devil with an axe so large it splits tanks in a single swing. They move into battle with armor of brass adorned by the skulls of their foes and pools of freshly spilt blood. This may appear to be quite frightening, of course, demonic, one might say. But in the world of chaos, all emotions feed one of these gods in one way or another. If you were to define Khorne with single words,
Going back on my art kick again. What is the picture? Holy fuck! This is pretty! Like, it's disturbing and awful and horrifying, but oh my god, this looks so pretty! And look at Khorne. Look at Khorne in the background. Like, it is perfectly bringing in that amorphous blob of hate, anger, and violence, and giving it form without giving it form. It's just the skull throne, but you can tell there's something sitting on it. You just don't know what the fuck you're looking at. And he's just a monolithic figure enjoying the blood and chaos and death in front of him. Oh my goodness.
you would use blood, carnage, murder, skulls. But you'd be missing out on important ones like strength, honor, prowess, courage, and skill. Khorne is not just about the wholesale slaughter of people. He is about the honor and power of martial combat. The true strength there is in besting someone in physical strength and skill. Of course, a murderer would be someone who would feed Khorne, but a soldier could feed Khorne. A martial artist or professional fighter could feed Khorne. A warrior, good or bad, feeds Khorne. A diplomat does not. A premier soldier does. A GoFundMe does not. This is what leads many mortals down the path of Khorne, for he will bless those that bring him enough skulls. And in a world this destructive, there are many ways to reap a high tally for him. Prepare the
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, these concepts, yes, they're lords of chaos, but chaos can't be defined in a single, like, instance, because once you start defining what is chaotic, what is, like, random and wild, it's no longer chaotic, it's order. Well, maybe a GoFundMe for blood? Maybe. But let me just do a little stretch here. But like, when you break it down into subsections, like Khorne, with, you know, being the chaos god of essentially violence, all violence, whether it's good or bad, being violent in defense of yourself, being violently aggressive, just being strong, being powerful, being a protector, being a defender, those are still parts of his aggression. So, like, obviously, he's going to have, like, a lot of say for those who are actually good people, but they're fighting for that good reason. And hydrate. Yeah. And it's the same with Nurgle, with Slaanesh, and with Tzeentch. Like, they all have negative sides to them, but there's always a positive side to them as well.
Red claws and unchain the mad ones. Glorious battle awaits us today, for the world below has refused to surrender. Let us descend upon them with fury and rage, giving no quarter and sparing only those warriors who fight well enough to earn a place amongst us. As to the rest, their lives and possessions are ours, but their skulls are for Khorne. Normally, if I ever want to explain Khorne, I just kind of show them this clip.
I'd never stab you in the back, Shepard. Warriors like you and me, straight to the face.
Moving on.
Honestly, yeah, that's a good quote. Like, you're a warrior. You fight with honor. You fight with pride. If your opponent is the same way, give them a nice slug on the chin. They'll respect you as they go down.
Tzeentch is the second god, the god of trickery and mischief, the changer of ways, the great conspirator.
Bro's licking his own feet. Oh my goodness.
And the architect of fate. With a sacred number of 9, Tzeentch is truly the god of change in all of its forms, but there is an obvious undercurrent of mischief and cunning. Tzeentch is such a liar that his pants have gone thermonuclear.
Khorne specifically threw out his greatest word for backstabbing him, and specifically for the backstabbing. That's amazing. Wait, what just happened? I was reading.
Mischief and cunning. Tzeentch is such a liar that his pants have gone thermonuclear.
Liar, liar, pants on nuclear fire. Oh my god, it's fission. What the f is it?
His favorite pastime
Did you do that to yourself?
is asking questions that have no answers while simultaneously making up answers on the spot to a question he didn't ask.
Have you ever had a dream that
You you're talking over me. I'm trying to ask a question. Hey, stop, kid. I'm trying. Stop it. What?
He is such a conniving little bastard that every emotion of lying, of scheming, of trickery is a direct way to help feed him. An unfaithful partner, a politician, a spy. All these people feed Tzeentch in one way or another, and it doesn't matter if the intentions are good. Acceptance does not feed Tzeentch. Change does. Tzeentch doesn't care about your facts. He only wants opinions. Because he represents change, he also represents hope, though. Schemes are not always bad, and even the hope to make a better tomorrow is the change he seeks. Because he is the architect of fate and the mastery of sorcery, his presence is purely unknowable. Every depiction of a Tzeentchian demon contains more eyes than are necessary and more mouths than I know what to do with. It is
Honestly, just based off this information right here, like, if I were to like lean towards any specific like chaos faction, I think it would actually be the Tzeentch faction, because like that's a good point. When you're okay, when you're happy with things, that can lead to stagnation. That doesn't lead to progress or bettering yourself. That doesn't lead to change. Change is amazing. Change is important, because without change, how are we going to progress? How are we going to get better? How are things going to be like figured out? If we didn't have change, like we wouldn't have computers, we wouldn't have VTubers, we wouldn't have soda, we wouldn't have phones, we wouldn't have connection, we wouldn't have literally anything. We would just be a bunch of scared monkeys in a cave, too afraid to rub the two sticks together to make fire. Right? Don't get me wrong. The other three are great, but like I think I'd lean more towards change than I would any of the others. Like, obviously, I'm not for chaos, but at the same time, a little bit of chaos is not bad. All we need is Ooga Booga Beatstick. Exactly.
A biblically accurate angel if the angel gaslit you into thinking birds are government drones. But are they? The creatures at his disposal adorn themselves with the knowledge of sorceries and the unknown, all to provide a mind-crushing experience. Fighting demons from outside of our reality is difficult enough, but fighting demons from unreality, purposely attempting to trick you, is a whole new thing entirely. And that is before we even get started on the gigantic bird of sorcery you're going to need to face. Do not
You see that thing? You're going to have to fight that if you're trying to get oppose this shit. Take it up with him. Honestly, like, Tzeentch and Khorne must like butt heads a lot, because like Tzeentch is all about like being conniving, using magic, using literally every trick in the book in order to get what he wants and get that change he so desperately wants. Whereas Khorne, it's honor, it's duty, it's keeping the status quo, it's keeping things like in that chaotic, violent loop and not asking any questions, just getting a result. So like these two are so diametrically opposed in almost every way. They even chose red and blue, which are very opposing color schemes. The god that will set up a schema complicated enough to overthrow a world just to mildly inconvenience a kid's lemonade stand. It's true.
Do not ask which creature screams in the night. Do not question who waits for you in the shadow. It is my cry that wakes you in the night, and my body that crouches in the shadow. I am Tzeentch, and
bro, why are you in the corner? Are you asking me a question? Yeah, why are you in the corner? Stop that. But I need to be in the shadow. I need to do this. You're answering a weird question, man. Stop that. Why aren't you asking me why am I seeing you in the corner? Huh? What are you doing here? What are you doing here, buddy? What are you doing here, bro? Huh? What do you want? And just start being all paranoid for him, and he'd be like, you know what? Respect. I'm going to go into another one.
You are the puppet that dances to my tune. Third of the Chaos Gods is the one of
Papa Nurgle loves you, even if you don't.
acceptance of rot and pestilence, the grandfather himself, Papa Nurgle. Nurgle is the exact opposite of Tzeentch. Where Tzeentch believes in change and hope for a future, Nurgle believes in stagnation and the end of everything. At one point or another, we will all decay. We will all rot, and we will all end. And with a sacred number of 7, every single thing, pestilence, boil, and everything in between, comes under the great shadow and girth of Nurgle himself. For Nurgle, the plight of mortals is his fear and wine. And no matter how solid life might be, everything will decay in the end. In the creation of life, there must be an end to that life.
Oh yeah.
And nobody has more creations to end lives than Grandfather Nurgle himself. Every boil, every blemish, every pus-filled wound and disease, every rot and every plague is kept.
Yeah, you keep listening. Yeah, you keep listening, Richard. I'm not putting any of that on screen. Yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah, please don't. And like, that's not a bad thing either. Like, well, it is a bad thing. But an end is not something to be feared. Evolve and grow and get yourself to that next step in your life with change. And then once you've changed your entire life, you've grown, you've become the person you want to be, that's when you can look at Nurgle and be like, I've done enough. And he will just open his gooey arms and be like, then come in for a hug.
And concocted by Nurgle. This, humorously, keeps Nurgle as a jovial god. He is full of life and laughter, and by creating as many diseases as he possibly can, he shares that joy with mortals. I mean, his envoy is the Great Unclean One, and look at how happy he is. And there's a lot of him to love. A fear of death in general is feeding Nurgle. All disease makes him stronger, but to pray for salvation for a wounded loved one is to feed Nurgle. The timeless and inevitable fear that one day you will rot and decay is what gives him strengths. The Peloton won't feed Nurgle. Licking the doorknob on a public bathroom certainly does. However, should you embrace...
Don't do that. Don't do that, people. The best one to sell your soul to, because you can at least gaslight yourself into thinking you're a good person, and a father that loves you, and not just someone who is the equivalent of a abusive, manipulative partner. Yes. But I mean, you can always trust a nice person to do something. You can always trust an honest person to do the honest thing. It's the dishonest people that I prefer, because you can always trust them to do something dishonest.
Your grandfather's gifts, you may find an end to your pain. Maybe. All mortal followers of the Chaos Gods found themselves there in one way or another, either through the direct worship or the slow corrupting of their souls. But those that take Nurgle's gifts and embrace the decay of their bodies may end up being chosen among his few as a faithful servant. In doing so, you will be free of the pain caused by Nurgle's ailments, and you may even find yourself just as jovial and happy as he is. Maybe. His enemies shall wither and die. His allies shall wither and die. The universe and all within it shall wither and die. And when the great corruption has settled over the land and permeated the very foundations of reality itself, then shall the Lord of all rise from the rot and ruin, spread his arms wide to reclaim all of his dutiful children. Those were
adorable. That's fun. That's fun.
The three major Chaos Gods for a very long time, emboldened by war and death on a galactic scale, ever present, but now fact on the suffering of a galaxy. One race, for a while, was able to elude the pull of chaos, an advanced race of psychically attuned aliens whose master over the physical world was so strong that chaos could not glean from them the morsels of power they once had. Or so they couldn't. Not for a long while. 60 million.
In the next episode, we'll probably cut it right there, and then we'll get back into the next video later for you guys, okay? Anyway, stick around for more later. Bye. What? Hey, did you enjoy that? Was it funny? Well, come and check it out live over on twitch.tv/freeform_art. Make sure you put the _art. We have lots of fun there. We enjoy ourselves, and we want to see you over there. So come on and hang out. See you in a bit.